Alright, so I showed you guys an endgame with the queen and king versus pawn on the 7th rank. I didn't show you all of it, I showed you the basics of it, but I want to show you how knowing an endgame can really improve your chess play. And this is an example that I made up, and here it's black to move. And the question is, the pawns are going this way, can black win? And a grandmaster could look at this and would know within a few seconds that this is a forced win for black. And actually, I think it's forced mate in 12 or something. And this looks very complicated, but actually, if you've got basic endgame knowledge, it isn't. So let's simplify this a little bit, and I'll just show you the correct move. At least one of the correct moves, the one that I made. So here, even a club player can calculate this position. And here a club player would probably say, okay, well, this is a bishop's pawn, and it's a draw. And this is why they would lose, because they don't really fully know the endgame. They know the basics of the endgame. They know what I showed you, but they don't know the nuances, which is what you have to really study. And what they didn't study was that when the king is on, there's a few different variations to this endgame. When the king is on the bad side of the pawn, so this is the good side, and this is the bad side. When the king is on the bad side of the bishop's pawn, then the winning zone for black's king is if he can reach either of these two squares in 2 moves. So that means that the zone ends up being, let me draw. The zone ends up being like this. This is the zone. If black's king is in this zone, it's actually a win. And black's king is in fact in this zone. And a grandmaster would know this is very basic, and he would know that this is a win. And I'll just show you the way to win in this particular instance. There's a few different situations. If I have time, I'll show you another one with the bishop's pawn. So here, black would just maneuvers queen around a little bit. Put it in a better. It's not very well situated right now, so he's centralizing it here. And there's a few variations here. Let's look at this one first. All right, so here it's very tempting for black to play this. And again, a club player would do this, but a grandmaster wouldn't, because he would know that this transposes to this endgame where the king is on the good side of the pawn, and then the winning zone in that situation is 1 square from either of these. So the winning zone is this. And then a grandmaster would say, well, if I play this variation, I'm going to be outside of the winning zone, right? See, it's all very conceptual. It's not really calculation at this point. So grandmaster would say, well, I want to keep him on the bad side of the pawn. Okay, so now white has 2 choices. He can play here or here. If he plays here, black just gains time because the pawn can't progress. So the critical move is king here, and here's the key to this variation. King goes up, and now if you promote, it's checkmate. And if you don't promote, I mean, it's just going to be the same thing, right? What can you do if you go here? And, it's going to be, after a move like this. Actually, no, sorry, that's a mistake. After a move like this, for example, now this pawn is pinned. And if you go this way, it's checkmate. If you go this way, it's going to be checkmate. So grandmaster would see all that. I'm just thinking, well, what about not king f8? What if he plays, what if he plays something like king f6? This is tricky. So then check. And then we get back to this stuff. And now the pawn is pinned. And if you unpin yourself, then the king just goes up, and we renew this mate threat. Okay, so let me set up another position to show you another example. This is just an endgame. Now, I'm not going to show you a transition into an endgame, but I'll show you another example of the winning zone with a different king position. Okay, in this position, notice that the winning zone again is 2 squares from either of these squares, so it's This is the winning zone. And again, black is in it. And the way to win here is to just put your queen on the 7th rank. Approach with the zigzag method. And here, this move. And after this move, well, not this move actually. This move's a mistake because it's just pinning. After this move, we pin. And the idea is just to keep the queen on the 7th rank right before white promotes. And now we just do the same thing, and we have the same checkmate idea. So my point with this wasn't the just to know the endgame. It was that knowing the endgame will actually affect your choices in the middle game, and that, you know, a grandmaster can visualize the position in 13 moves without having to put forth much effort because he's studied it. And I think it's a big misconception among club players that openings are the most important thing, and I think that endgames are a very important part of study. And I think that you guys should put some effort into studying them. So I'm gonna start putting some more videos of some interesting endgames. I'll probably do more in-depth study of the rook and bishop's pawns and the winning zones and why they win. So